Cato Callahan. Allison, is your girl ready for One Last Night in 1933?
Hey, everybody, it's Allison. And as you know, I play Caitlin O'Callahan, aviatrix extraordinaire, princess of the skies, America's flying sweetheart. And Greg, Kate has some pretty solid plans to live forever. And God help anyone who gets in her way. That's all I'm saying.
I love it. I love the optimism. I couldn't agree with it anymore. Uh, I, I am at a loss for words, so let's go over to somebody that can read my mind and take the words directly out of them. Lauren, Sabella, Last Night in 1933?
No, Greg. Just for a straightforward answer. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm that salty ginger. I play Miss Sabella Ives of Ives Esoteric and Antiquarian Bookstore in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York City. She is psychic. It's pretty well known now. She is a psychometrist, which maybe you'll see some of today. Maybe you won't, because I'm very worried about disease. So maybe you won't see any of it today. That's me. I'm gonna be fine. Or else.
Excellent. Well, I mean, disease is a concern, as is, I may have a little bit of the yellow death right now. We're going to go back and forth. We'll see how the next 2 hours progresses, and I'll let you know at the end what the diagnosis truly is. Steve, our resident sniper, Dwight Burke, last day, night in 1933?
Hi, everyone. Absolutely not. Dwight Burke will strive on like he always does, as all of us will. So we'll see what the situation is, what this yellow death is. I'm hoping it's just somebody we can fight, not a real disease, because that could be worse than anything.
It is. If the yellow death is actually like a professional wrestler, and he's the final boss of Borneo, then maybe that
I would prefer it to be that.
Okay, well, Grant is in chat, so I think Grant will think that might be a good idea as well if we go for the belt. Anyway, Strider is not with us tonight. He's had some things come up. We wish him well, and he should be back next week. Please follow him on the Twitches and the Twitters, because he is a good guy to follow. Not because he's a good guy, but because you can harass him and probably provoke some type of violent response out of him. It's worked for me. Anyway, let's go over to Lindy. Lindy, Dr. Greta von Krause, last day, night, 1933, Borneo. Talk about it.
Not planning on it. I'm used to working around very contagious substances and controlled diseases. As long as proper medical should be just fine, right? Although, I'm a bit concerned about this group's track record of crashed, and now this plane has crashed. She's like, this is not. Yeah, she's not super worried.
Okay. Does anybody else hear that clicking, or is that just me? Is that the audio?
Lindy, I think you're cut. Yeah, you're.
Am I clicking?
You're clicking.
Okay.
Whoa.
Listen.
It sounded like Morse code and like you were censoring yourself.
No.
There's popping going on in my head too, so I don't know what exactly is real and what is not. So I have to make sure that I always ask. So anyway,
is this better? Good.
Yeah, not happening right now.
I didn't touch anything.
Sure you didn't.
Don't do anything, for God's sakes. This is a professional stream. We
Hashtag
never start on other
streamer.
channels, right? We never start without sound. You don't have somebody gasping for breath that does most of the talking. No, this is professional.
I'm perfectly
people.
well, Greg.
Okay, well, here we go then. So to recap where we are, these wonderful people that believe themselves to be immortal, as their namesake, the Olympians, are also immortal, or were anyway, before everyone forgot about them. We shall see what happens to these modern-day 1933 Olympians as they have touched down rather unceremoniously in the waters outside of Borneo. Now, by unceremoniously, I mean that they crash-landed in their amphibious aircraft, the Ugly Duckling.
You mean expertly. I think the word you're looking for is expertly.
I saw Kate's face.
I was going to say it was a crash landing. It would have been a fatal landing had it not been for the exploits of one Cato Callahan. the mistress of the skies and America's flying sweetheart, who was able to pull the craft up one engine down, landed on the water, and evade the bat dragons that had been attacking them, courtesy of one Unmade Gaming. As they landed, though, and came to a rest, we pick up the action as the ugly duckling, sundered and barely moving, drifts into the seaport, where it is tethered by British officers that run down to kind of anchor it to the dock. At this point, too, your co-pilot, Franklin Watson, is catatonic almost. He is staring just straight ahead after his experience and his sanity-shaking moment in the air. And for the purposes of Strider, he is quiet, which is uncharacteristic of Elijah Sawyer, but for our purposes here, he will remain a silent witness to the events coming up. What would you like to do, Olympians?
You hear Kate's voice come over the loudspeaker system of the plane. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for flying Olympian Airlines. Please stay seated until we reach our final position at the dock. Click.
Dwight's probably hyperventilating a little bit as the plane. We continue to go down in crazy fashions every time he gets in one.
Greta's probably over by Dwight, trying to keep him dumb. Like, just deep breaths. Dwight, you're doing great. Do you need anything? I can give you something to take the edge off. Or...
A cigarette and a drink would be good.
Do we need to get off this plane, y'all? Like, now? Are we sinking? Anyone? Is anyone worried about that? Are we okay?
Who was in the tail gun? I think that was Lauren, correct?
No. Greta was in the tail gun.
Yeah, Lauren was in the...
I didn't shoot anything.
Wasn't Lauren under the plane? Wasn't Lauren dead? No.
What?
I'm pretty sure Lauren was dead. Good night, everybody.
That's horrible.
Stop it.
Right.
Stop it.
Okay. Lindy, Greta was back in the tail gun, and at this point, as you kind of turn around, trying to get out of your harness and everything, you notice that there is water coming into the ugly duckling.
It's like I'm psychic.
There is water coming into the aircraft. It is not good.
Can we get off now, please?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Kate is unbuckled and a little bit worried here about poor Franklin, trying to get him to come around before she comes out of the cockpit. Can I feel that we're starting to take on water?
Yeah, you can actually feel that the tail is getting to... I mean, it's tough when it's buoyant like this. You don't have the air controls or anything to kind of feel drag, but you can feel that it's starting to list a bit. And this is more Kate being able to feel this. Franklin wouldn't feel it, another pilot wouldn't feel it, but somebody that is as attuned to an aircraft as Kate, when it lists or keens even a bit, it just sounds off like a firework in your mind, and you can feel it starting to pull backwards.
All right, she is unbuckling Frank's 3-point and trying to get him out of that, get us both out of that cockpit. And how far are we from the dock? Are we? You said they're tethering us, right?
Yeah, you guys are getting tethered in, and at this point, you can hear some of the British soldiers outside going, "Without sinking!" And you see that they're kind of moving quicker to get this stuff done, and they're waving at you. One of the guys at the front of the dock is waving into the cockpit, pointing towards the rear, as if you hadn't already noticed.
All right, folks, grab what you need, and let's get out of here. And grab everything you can, because you may not have access to it after we see what happens with this water.
Mm-hmm. I grab the scrolls, put them in my bag. I'm sure. Yep, that's what I have to say right now.
I thought there was a comma there, and I was waiting.
I thought there was more coming too.
No, I just like keeping you in suspense, Greg.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I grab my medical bag, and then I grab a second bag, and I try to put as much equipment, medical science equipment in it as possible. And
okay, Greta, you had some experiments that were ongoing in.
I did.
So
I need to make a spot hidden, Greg. Anything important to grab?
What I'm going to have Greta do first is Greta is going to roll a luck roll, and we are going to take the result of that into consideration as
I
she
was
is
gonna say
scrambling.
don't.
Oh no!
Yeah, you're pretty sure you got everything. So, but you're just kind of sweep and put it in there, and you're kind of chucking stuff out as you have quite a bit of material. Being the doctor and the physician on board, you've got stuff you've got to get off there.
Yeah, I make sure I double
Hey,
check.
Prue! Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey.
Prue!
Yeah, I
I'm
double
sorry.
check. She does double check her medical, not necessarily science stuff, but her medical stuff. Make sure she has enough of the medications because we're going to some place that has a plague or a fever. She
Yes.
wants to make sure she's gonna be able to treat it. So she
Which
probably.
we had found out before we left, so had adequately prepared for.
Mhm.
Mm-mm-mm. As much as we could, you know.
Dwight, of course, grabbed his guns, and if anybody needs him to carry anything, he can do that too.
Yeah, so you want to help with Franklin. Franklin's coming. He's not like dead weight. Like
Yeah, I'll
if,
help
if
him out,
Caitlin pulls
if
him
need
up,
be.
he'll stand. He's
Yeah.
not completely out of it. So
Well, of course, we'll grab Sawyer as well. If he seems like he's a little shaken up or
I
such
will
and
tell you
such.
this: as Sawyer is exiting the plane, he appears to be helping something that's not there. As
Okay.
you see him lift something out of the plane as if he's putting it onto the dock.
Can I, since I mean I didn't really have anything but like personal things, can I just take one last look around? Anything oversighted in, the sinking and whatnot?
Yeah, you're up to about your ankles in water right now as the British officers are outside going, come on, as they're motioning for you to jump out with their hands out. I tell you what, I'm going to allow you to do one of two things. Oh, you're going to do spot in? Okay, well, you just.
That's not me.
I'm
asked.
sorry. Okay.
I'd said earlier.
Yeah, you think you've gotten everything that you can see. Roll a luck roll for me. Or okay.
I pressed it.
Okay, you got it. You look around and there, resting just at the corner of the fuselage, right around where Strider was, you see a watch. The pocket watch that you had.
Did I say I brought that?
I was assuming that it was not left behind.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it.
Okay. If you don't tell me it's left behind, I always assume it's there. Okay.
Oh, then okay, fine. If I have to be explicit, I also get the Bible.
Oh yeah, Strider has that. Yeah, he continued to. You left that in his possession as the last time that he had it. So
yeah, and then I asked him for it in the bookshop.
Right. So yeah, you guys have that.
So
you
we
have
got it.
all of
Okay.
your special items that you guys had, you have with you, unless you've told me deliberately that you've left them behind, like the staff is behind and things like that.
Right. Copy. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So Kate's priority here is just making sure everybody's off and safe. And before she gets off, she wants to, if it's possible, if I feel like there's time, she wants to do just a quick run back to the tail to see if I can see where we're bringing on water, just so I've got a good sense of what repairs might look like if they're possible.
Okay. Thank you for the cheer, Troubadour. As you look, you notice that as soon as you get outside of the Ugly Duckling, it's amazing that this craft landed. I mean, you can put that on your shoulders as being your skill, but this craft is sundered. And by that, I mean the second engine, the fact that it fired up again. I mean, Professor Mueller and Einstein would have a field day figuring out how this thing fired back up. It is literally cut in half. So whatever little life was left in the propeller to get you that extra gust from the gods, it came from somewhere other than this engine. The rest of it is, there are claw marks exposing huge rents in the fuselage along the top portion of the craft. And just below where Greta was perched in the tail gun, there is a huge hole that seems to be taking in the most water. You can see it through the water because it's crystal clear here into the actual duckling. Well, as soon as you get out, too, one of the soldiers says, "Are you the pilot?"
Yeah, that's right, darling. I am, or I was at least.
Hey, you might want to try to beat you. And he points over towards the beach.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do I just a quick mental calculation? Do I feel as though I can fire up that port side engine and maybe beach it before it takes on too much water?
It's going to require some rolls, but it might fire.
Kate,
Greta will assist. She knows something or two about mechanical things.
I love it. Kate jumps right back through the hatch and climbs up into the cockpit. And as she sees Greta behind her, says, "Well, we need a doctor, or at least the Duckling needs a doctor right now. Why don't you climb up here in Franklin's seat? And we'll see what we can do."
Greta, I will let you know this. Mechanically,
Yeah.
you could probably do more good topside.
Okay. She will say, I believe that I would be better on the outside of the aircraft, perhaps putting things together to facilitate your piloting expertise.
All right, just be careful out there. All right, don't get blown off into the water or something.
I will do my best. And she'll kind of just hand her medical bag to Dwight. Do not.
No
do
carry
not
purses. I take it.
Dwight's covered in guns, and now he has the doctor bag kind of in front of him. Okay. So, are you taking off your jacket? Are you going all
Yeah,
the
she'll
way up?
take off her jacket.
Okay.
She'll take off her she'll leave her gloves on though.
Okay, gloves remain on. Jacket comes off. I'm not going to make you roll to get on top because basically you're kind of stepping off onto the top of the craft and can kind of walk up towards it now as it's sinking. Kate, with a combined effort, I would like let's see, what kind of, I want the mechanical repair roll from Greta, and I want a mechanical repair roll from Kate down below to see if they can combine their efforts and fire the Duckling up.
All right, so Kate has this handy feat that allows her advantage on this, right?
Correct.
All right, that's mechanical.
Greta rolled a success.
Oh, fail on the first one. Oh, God.
Oh gosh.
Two
Now
fails.
I will allow you to spend 6 luck if you would like to take that 76 down to a 70 and pass it.
I am burning through luck like crazy, but I think I better take it. Yeah.
Okay, so narratively how this plays out is, Greta, you see that the port side engine is not going to fire on the Duckling. So what you do is you kind of go ahead and you reach in there and you make sure it gets a little bit more fuel. You actually bleed a little bit directly into the chamber to get it just kind of fired up. And at the last second, Kate, you realize that there's been a short down there because of the water already. And you just kind of do a quick patch, and it gets the fuel, gets the spark, gets the fire to fire up the propeller again. I am going to need you to roll me a hard piloting check. And Greta, I'm going to need you to roll me a hard dex check as the ugly duckling.
Oh,
Ask and ye shall receive.
I'm gonna eat it. Yeah.
Yes, you are. Okay, so just as I had hoped, as the engine fires up and the duckling, maybe sensing its own mortality here to come to rest at the bottom of the lagoon here in Borneo, it fires to life, and the port engine goes full bore, full throttle, and it just lurches the already half sunken ugly duckling towards the beach. And as Kate is piloting the craft expertly and getting control of it, Greta was not ready for this extreme explosion of energy as she does a complete backflip off of the craft, narrowly missing the tail, and splashes into the water. At this point, you are in 20-foot deep water. Can Greta swim?
Probably.
Well, let's roll a swim roll just to find out, because I might not have another...
Greg.
That's right. I can do whatever I want. I have an allergy attack. That's stealth. That's stealth.
Oh, wrong roll.
Yeah,
That's
stealth
stealth.
doesn't count.
Stealth.
All right. Okay, let's say I rolled the wrong one. They're right next to each other.
Come
They're
on,
the
roll
same percent.
20.
Oh gosh, that's so close.
Okay, so as you hit the water, we will say that for the purposes of narratively explaining this role, you do clip the tail as you fall into the water just a bit. And as you clip and kind of roll off to the side, you're dazed for a moment and you can't see which way is up. Sabella and Dwight, you guys are on the
Can we
dock.
help her?
Yeah, you guys can jump in to assist if you wish.
I see some what British officers here who work on an island, and I will ask one of them to go in.
Well, I haven't.
I'm just
Do I have to make a swim roll, dude, or can I make like a dex? You know?
Well, I tell you what, if you are asking someone to go in there for you guys to save your friend, you can roll a hard persuasion as everyone's kind of distracted by the duckling.
Dwight will definitely jump in to try to save her.
Could it be charm?
Could it be charm?
Uh-huh.
I'll give
that
it
would
to
work.
you. I'll give it
Oh, okay. Watch me fail it.
This is like
Regular success.
Yeah, regular success.
to you.
And what do
Okay,
I got to do? I jumped in after her.
Yeah, okay, so by the time this guy gets pulled away by watching the duckling heading towards the beach, they look back over and you see Dwight get to her, but they're both kind of flailing in the water at this point. Sabella, you do see that there is a life preserver there with a rope around it that you could probably throw out to them if you wanted to try.
Because I'm so good at throwing.
You know, give me just an easy throw roll here to get it
You
out
have
to him.
found our weaknesses.
You know it.
I may or may not have looked through the character sheets.
Oh, you're mean.
Here we go. Regular Tom Brady.
Right, I love it. Okay, so yeah, just like yes, because of Sabella's upbringing and Lauren's geography. Just like
Do you make
Drew
the pose
Brees-
after the throw?
I just look really good, and I do. I decide that I do charm that British officer now that I did that, and it looked really good.
Right, he sees you throw that thing, and he's now willing to listen. But at this point, the point is
Like, snap! I should have impressed her by jumping in after them. She won't.
right. So
She
the
don't need
life
no
preserver.
man.
Anybody can swim. I just can't understand these roles.
So the life preserver. Well, you're trying to save somebody. So the life preserver goes into the water. Both Greta and Dwight grab hold. Moments later, they are fished out. Kate, while the hijinks and the Keystone Cops are over on the docks, you are able to literally beach the ugly duckling about 10 feet into the sand. And as soon as it gets up there and the drag hits from the sand itself, the engine cuts off. And you feel the duckling slip away.
I power down the engine, shut down all of the other systems, and then Kate climbs out of the roof hatch just behind the cockpit and starts walking along the back of the fuselage, just sort of inspecting the damage done by 12 bat dragons or whatever it was.
A mic of bat dragons. 12 bat dragons is a mic.
That is a mic. It's a full mic.
Yeah.
So just checking out what she can, and then she sort of runs back up and jumps down off the nose and heads over toward the dock.
Okay. So as you guys kind of rejoin and reconnect there as the dock meets the sand and the beach, you see coming towards you a impeccably dressed man. He's older, maybe close to, maybe a little bit over 50. He's got salt and pepper hair slicked straight back, a thin mustache. Very British in the fact that everything, even in the heat of Borneo, seems to be perfectly pressed, perfectly manicured. He is a British gentleman and a British officer. And as he walks forward, he kind of has a little bit of a quick in his step as he sees that there is a beached aircraft and there appear to be people in need. And he walks forward and he says, well, hello, Captain Philip Lancaster. What are you doing on my beach?
Did he see me throw the life preserver? That's all I care about.
Listen, I saw that life preserver from back there.
Oh,
and
did
I had
you?
to run up because, woo, Lord Almighty.
Thank you. Well, My name's Miss Sabella Ives. No, I guess they wouldn't know we were coming. Katie?
And Kate's running up at this point. And, well, I suppose we were crashing is what we were doing. Any lantern you can walk away from is a good one, though. Hi there, Caitlin Jane O'Callahan.
Miss O'Callahan, yes.
You might have heard of me.
He takes a second. The aviatrix. The one who's
Yeah,
going to fly around the world.
That's me.
Oh.
And
Looks like
he's
you didn't
just
make
about the
it.
best pilot in the whole world.
He looks over at the craft. Then he looks back at her. I'll take your word for it.
Well, now that wasn't her fault. The thing that, is her fault is us being alive, which is a good thing. No, did you see those flying things up there? Those are responsible for that.
We didn't see anything. Reginald saw something. Reginald? And another boy runs up. Yes, sir. What did you see up there? Some type of creature, sir. You heard it from Reginald. Some type of creatures.
Oh, you have a good eye, Reginald. Very good eye.
Oh, I was looking through my scope, but all right. He has a rifle with him.
Great.
Was this a crash landing, or was Borneo your destination?
Well, it was certainly our destination, sir. We are here on behalf of the government of the United States of America.
The colonies. Oh, absolutely. Well, we received no word of your coming.
Oh, you haven't, have you?
Should we have?
Now, that's a very good question. I'm not so sure. I wonder, Captain Lancaster, if we could find a place just to have a bit of a briefing from you about the situation here in Borneo. We've heard word of an epidemic of some type.
The Yellow Death. It's here. And he points to the mountain that's kind of right. Maybe you can see that it's inland, but only by about 10 miles before it starts to sweep. And he points and he goes, the whole mountain is taken with it. That's why we are here. We are sent by the Empire and the governor to cordon off the area. Make sure that it doesn't spread.
Well, we've brought a doctor with us, and I would very much appreciate it if you have any medical personnel, if she could have a conversation with them about what's going on here.
He looks up, and it's later afternoon, and he says, questions for the doctor. Why don't we sit down for dinner, relax, and I will catch you up on the news of the island and get you ready for whatever it is that you're here for. But you can be my guests tonight. Say 6 o'clock.
Well, that sounds just dandy. Captain, thank you so much. Let me just, one other thought. By my understanding, there is an aid station of caduceus here on the island. About how far are we from that aid station? That's where we're headed, I think.
I don't know exactly where the fools set up their camp, but it's 5 or 7 miles directly up the path.
In the middle of your quarantine zone, ain't it?
It is, yes. All matters for us to discuss over supper.
Greta's just listening to this, and she's like kind of trying to wring out some of her clothes.
Yeah.
Sabella
This is where we think the girl's located at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Sabella
what Dwight says.
Oh.
Ruby, are you speaking of Ruby Foster?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, we are, Captain. What do you know of Miss Foster?
Oh, that little angel was in here 3 days ago, and her family, I told them, I'll tell you the same thing that I told them. They should not have gone in there. But they did. We'll talk about it at supper. And he turns and walks off, and he says, Reginald, take care of them. Reginald, yes, sir, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, right this way. And he kind of ushers you guys over to a large tent that seems to be erected right off of the beach.
Sabella just kind of mutters to the group, haven't been the colony since 1783. Rude. About 150 years ago. Just
Yes.
muttering to herself.
Strange analogy.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Ives, it is important, I believe, that we are uh, good representatives of our sovereign nation. So perhaps we could humor the captain a little bit.
Humor that. Yes, my
Dwight's
strong
not too
suit.
fond of British people, by the way.
They are quite egotistical, I would agree.
Although, Miss Ives, it strikes me that at the very first opportunity, it might be useful if you had a more formal introduction to the captain.
I'm just a little concerned with touching anything near a quarantine zone.
Yeah, I
Personally?
brought masks for all of us, and she will reach into her bag. But I believe Dwight and I should get to try first. But she'll pass them out to Sibel.
Well, Dwight kind of looks at Kate and says, we could probably ask them about Germans. If any Germans have arrived, he would probably be sure to know.
Well, they weren't sure in Bolivia because, they had traders and people being controlled. But yeah, definitely worth asking, Mr. Burke.
True.
Okay.
All right, I guess we are walking in this tent.
Yep. As you walk in, it appears to be some type of muster area where it looks like there's a lot of supplies. You do see several boxes that are labeled caduceus that appear to be medical supplies. They're filled with a lot of what Greta would identify as being comfort medicines, like morphine, things to clean wounds. There's nothing here that looks like it's for the...
that medics use, not doctors. Doctors heal people. Medics help them feel more comfortable while they die.
Is that the actual difference? I
Comforting.
did not know that. That is good to know. I will always ask for a doctor then.
Don't
In war, doc, there's no difference. Believe me.
I will take your word for it.
We are so chipper today. I am going to look at Elijah Sawyer and see if he's talking to the air.
Elijah just seems to be staring off, but his gaze seems to be taking in the mountain more than anything else.
Okay.
Is our host, or our guide at least, still with us for a moment?
Reginald's here, yes.
Excuse me, Reginald, I think it was, right?
Yeah, yes, Mom.
Reginald, what kind of staff do you have here for the repair of aircraft? I probably need to talk to somebody about getting the ugly duckling looked at least.
We got Brent, but he works on vehicles, motorized cars, autos. He's not an airplane mechanic.
So there's no one here who works on aircraft?
No, we're a military unit, Mom. We don't have. We're not aircraft.
Well, do you have aircrafts?
Making deliveries, yes, Mom.
Where's the nearest airport?
About 100 miles down the coast on at Denai.
Well, sweetheart, you are just all kinds of helpful, aren't you? Okay.
Sorry, Mom.
How long till dinner, son?
He looks at the sky first and then realizes that he does have a wristwatch, and to belay his nervousness or display his nervousness, and he looks down, 90 minutes.
Great.
Have any towels?
I'll get you some, Mom.
Yeah,
And he takes off, and he does come back and throws the tent open about 5 minutes later. He drops several towels, a couple change, like a couple British military uniforms. He even brings in a couple pairs of boots in case somebody needs something. He sets it all down, and he kind of excuses himself, and he says, I'll stay close. And he just walks outside.
Dwight will take the boots. He'll put them on.
Not too close now. Keep getting spied on when I think I'm alone.
What was that? He pops his head back in.
you.
What?
What are you ladies talking about?
I couldn't hear that
Nothing.
because you. All right. I had my
Thank
ear right up against the
you.
tent, and I couldn't. All right.
You're just like a friend I know.
As everyone is drying off and getting situated, Kate kind of pulls everyone together and says, "Well, my friends, we're in a bit of a pickle here. If there's not anyone who can fix the duckling, I suppose, Doctor, you and I could see what we could do, but without materials, I'm well, I don't have a good sense that the duckling is our way off this island."
We could ask to borrow a plane.
Yes, Miss Ives, we could certainly do that.
I think they were
Do you-
very impressed with that throw. They might consider it.
Do you,
Wait,
do you
what?
think we should come up with?
What are you talking about?
You didn't see it, Katie. You would have been so impressed. I just tossed the laugh. You had to have been there. It was really good, though.
Was a good throw.
Doc was impressed.
I'm sure it was.
They would have gave you the hand grenades in the war.
You think? I mean, I would not have used them because that sounds very violent, but I like to think that
They
I
are
could have.
they are violent.
I'm distracted imagining myself throwing everything.
You have to pull the pin first, Miss Ives.
Oh, well, sure. I knew that.
How is Franklin looking at this point?
Franklin.
Yeah, Franklin, remember him? Yeah, Franklin is,
Who?
he's sitting
Who?
down. He's kind of sipping some water that's been given to him. And he's coming around a bit. For the purposes of mechanically speaking, he had a temporary insanity, and he's kind of coming out of it now. But he's
I
still...
offer him drugs.
Yeah, he won't stop you from administering anything to him, but he's not in a
Yeah,
position to
yeah.
accept or deny.
Okay.
We could both try something. I mean, no, like a no,
Huh?
no.
Franklin perks
My
up.
wife's temporary
What was that?
insane too.
Did he perk up? He perked up. You said it. It's canon. You said it. I heard it.
Well, we know what motivates that boy.
Right, right.
That's true.
Now, if
Good
Kate
lad.
were to say,
Good lad.
right. All right. So, okay. Well, just so you know, Franklin seems to be coming out of it. It's not something
Okay.
that either you or Greta or anybody feels would require any additional time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If he's on a swift road to recovery, she will ignore him then.
Kate would kneel down next to him and say, "What, Franklin, you doing all right? I know that was a bit difficult."
Yeah. No, I'm all right. I'm okay, Miss O'Callahan. I'll be all right.
All right, you feel like you up to a little task for me?
Yeah. Yes, Miss O'Callahan. Yes.
All
What do
right,
you
good.
need?
So here's what I want you to do. Head out to the duckling and give her a really good once over and then give her a twice over. I want you to see if you can come up with an inventory of all the problems that poor girl's got. And then let's try to prioritize them and see what maybe we can do here to get her airworthy again. I don't have a lot of hope, but we got to look first. So if you feel up to it, head on out there. All right.
Yes, Miss O'Callahan. Yeah. Yes, right away. And he kind of grabs a clipboard that just happens to be part of some of the other stuff that you guys pulled out, and he heads out.
And as he's leaving, I say, "Hey, Franklin,
Yeah. Yes, Miss O'Callahan. Yes.
sweetheart, it gets better after the first time."
He looks confused by your way that you said that, and I've heard something similar. Okay.
No,
All right, run up.
Yeah,
You
it
did a
really
good job,
does.
kid. Yeah, we try to congratulate you. You did a good job, kid.
It just
Okay.
gets much, smoother.
Like tossing life preservers.
I might hug him. I hug Dwight first. I hug him.
Greta
That's a
takes
good
a
line.
few steps back, And she's got her gloves like kind of hanging out to dry over something. And in the meantime, she's kind of got her left arm kind of tucked into her lab coat. She just backs up because she sees this hugging going on. She's just
No, I would never without your permission.
Okay, so yeah, Franklin does leave. Franklin walks off, and he begins. If you peek out at him, you can see that he is in fact doing a walk around of the Beechcraft.
Well,
Okay.
my question is to the group is, if we talk to this captain or whoever he is at supper, explain to him we're here for Ruby. We don't have to tell him everything. Maybe he'll potentially supply us with a plane, that she's a very important person and we need to extract her from, we can even tell them the Germans.
You should ask if there are Germans here first.
Yes.
I think before we ask or tell him anything, I'd like for Miss Ives to have a moment with him.
I'm just real scared. I don't like.
Deadly diseases?
Yes, voice in my head. I don't like deadly diseases.
I packed lots of antiseptic and they appear to have much more here.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'd love to do that for y'all.
Well, I mean, if you don't feel safe.
I don't blame you. I do not like being touched either.
Oh no, I really like being touched. But
Even from this distance, Franklin's head perks up out by the duckling as if he heard something from 100 yards away. I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's canon. You said it was canon. I could
Creepy cannon.
Thank you. Slow and creepy. I would like to. Now, when we were in Bolivia, and I was, taking some time to myself and get my thoughts gathered, I was able to pinpoint something, and I'm wondering if I can try, since Ruby is kind of like something, special about her, and there was something special in Bolivia that we got. So I'm wondering if she would ping the same way. And I think maybe Mr. Sawyer could help me. I don't know that he will. He is very distant, but I could try to see if she pings if I'm concentrating.
What would that? I don't want to God mode Elijah too much here because I don't want to put him in a situation that Strider wouldn't have put him into.
Exactly.
It's just like,
and he wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do. So
right, you want to touch him and you want to use him as a circuit, and I don't believe that that's what Elijah.
And he wouldn't let me, so I just had to suggest it. But I'm not gonna do that because I'm a nice person.
Yeah, Dwayne had been over there kind of like trying to snap him out of it, but it doesn't seem to be working apparently.
I believe he's in a state of shock.
Could I watch him though? And if I see, nah, screw it. No, I'll just try to do it on my own.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will allow you to do something similar with either the Bible or with the pocket watch if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
that's
where I was going next. Yeah, because I did not do a reading on the Bible before, so I had wanted to do that, and I could use the pocket watch as like a focus, maybe. So I'd like to try those things.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Tell me which one you would like to do first, and we'll give it a psychometry reading.
Yeah. Let's try to ping her first with the pocket watch. So psychometry?
Yes, please.
Okay. That's extreme.
That is an extreme roll.
Nice.
Yeah, with the pocket watch. So what you're able to do is, as you are feeling this pocket watch, you open it up, and as mentioned before, initially from the outside, it looks like a normal gentleman's pocket watch that would be worn in a waistcoat. But when you get close to it and you open it up, you realize that this is some type of, it's not a knockoff or a cheaply made watch. It's more like it's a toy watch. It has the face. It's, in fact, it appears to be some type of variant or some type of Alice in Wonderland type of watch. Like there is like elements of a scrollwork white rabbit on it. And it looks like it was made in London. And it bears the marking of an M. Macriat as the watchmaker.
Good. That means nothing to me. Great. Wait. No, there's no role for like pocket watch manufacturers.
I was
I'm
fine,
afraid
and
not.
now I want to cry.
History? Is that history?
I'm afraid not.
I don't think it's anything. I don't think that's.
Right.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure the destruction of Venice was pretty widespread. Just saying.
Google it.
Okay, good. That means nothing to me. I think it is a manufacturer of a pocket watch. Good.
Now, yeah, with the extreme roll, here's what you do: is as soon as you go through your traditional run up to a psychometry reading, you're able to look and kind of you really take in the details of the watch. You hold it in your hand, you feel the cool, the smooth of the metal, and as you think for a second and sink for a second, you feel yourself drifting. And you realize you're almost over the island as you have a bird's eye, literally, view of Borneo as you're looking around. And you kind of sweep down towards the top of the mountain, and you can actually see everything. You even see the duckling. You see Franklin kind of standing there. And as you zip by, Franklin goes. And as you go up the mountainside, you pass over what appear to be two settlements. You're not quite sure what they are. It looks like a farming colony and some type of hastily erected tent town. And as you get a little farther up, you see a tunnel in the side of the mountain. And the strange thing about it is the tunnel looks like a hexagon. And standing in the mouth, you see a little black girl, and she's waving at you. And the next thing you know, you're back in the tent with everybody else.
That's a big island. All right. Okay. Well, I know where we're going. Isn't that exciting?
Wunderbar.
We don't have to tell that man anything we don't want to.
Kate pulls out the maps that she's brought with her from the Ugly Duckling. Can you, Miss Ives, do you think you can point it out on this map?
I think so.
You can roll a navigate check for me because this was an aerial view.
Like, did we watch her examine that whole thing with the watch? Like,
Did she
you
get
know, did we
naked with
watch?
it?
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
but it was very close to me.
like she was in front of us doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so shy.
Like, no, yeah. Dwight's like, how did you figure out where we're to go from all that? I mean, he's like completely boggled with this whole past month, how things just.
Right. I'm not sure that you've ever watched any of it, actually.
Yeah, that's probably the first time because you told us to turn around the last time.
Yeah, Greta's probably taking notes.
I would not know how to explain it. I just sometimes know things when I touch things or people. As I try to navigate and avoid that question.
Can I
Yeah, that's a good dodge.
Can you psychology me?
Bro,
I would
thank you
love
for the
Yeah,
follow,
but
my
I'll-
friend. Welcome to the party,
You're
pal.
muted, Greg.
You're muted, Greg.
I was talking to somebody that just followed us, and I didn't want to interrupt your flow or your chi, everybody. So I was trying to be
Oh,
respectful.
Yeah, I wanna roll
You're always watching
psychology,
me.
See if she's.
Thank you,
Watch to
buddy.
make sure.
You're a respectful guy.
I am. I thank you for the.
I'm gonna
I
roll
need it.
navigate and fail real quick. Hold on.
Okay, please.
Great.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
I,
perfect.
as she's talking me through what she's seen, can I roll a navigate to see if I can follow along with the terrain?
I will let you roll one, but because you didn't see it, this is gonna have to be a hard just to start with, an extreme if we want to get in the ballpark. How's that
Well,
sound?
I just said extreme psychology to Isabella.
Oh no, that was hard. And maybe I'll use the one luck and make it
point
an extreme.
Okay. All right, so let's back up one. The psychology roll for Sabella.
Mhm.
What you want to know?
It was an extreme. Well, now hold on. This
was
was to see if she was lying about her abilities.
Yeah,
that-
because she's seen her do some things, so she's trying to like piece it together to be like doubly sure and see if she's lying. Maybe
Would
and
never lie to my
observing her
friends.
as well during the thing.
You are pretty sure from especially your associations back in the Reich that you may be on a different path than the one Sabella is trying to lead you down. So what that means is what excuses she has just made, you immediately disregard as false.
Okay. Okay.
I'm confused by that. Can I psychology check myself?
That was
No,
weird.
well, so with psychology, it's not a magic spell. You can't just say, yeah, use psychology, and I'd be like, well, she's lying. What she really means is this. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Psychology means that she read tells in your face that whatever you were saying wasn't 100% the truth. It's like you were bluffing in poker, and you're next to a card shark, and they looked and they said, she doesn't have a pair of aces. That's what Greta got. You know, Greta was able to glean that there's more to this story than meets the eye, and she has a different avenue that she's pursuing.
Interesting. All right. How about that navigate roll?
Yeah, you figured it out. It's up the mountain, and you're pretty sure that what she explained to you as being the farming community and the hastily erected tent city were probably, respectively, the farming community and the Caduceus aid station. So it seems that in the dot-to-dot of getting to Ruby, it would be the farming community, the aid station, and then presumably further up the mountain, this hexagonal tunnel that's somewhere up there.
All right. Now she's in a tunnel. That's weird. Katie, how far away is the tunnel, the mountain from the aid camp?
She can't tell that.
No, it's
You're
not like marked because it's new, right?
Right, you were explaining
Okay.
flight geography to her, and
Yes.
Kate was able to kind of extrapolate data from that. She didn't actually see it, so she can't say, "Oh, well, it's 12 miles,
I
12.3
forgot
miles."
that. I forgot that it was new and that it wouldn't be marked anywhere.
She's a little flustered anyway at this point.
Well, the question is, what is this disease doing? You know, what is yellow death exactly,
Very
right? Is that something we need to find out? You know.
Yeah. I would much like to speak with the doctor they have here.
I was going to say, at this point, you guys are moments away from going to see the doctor, so why don't you tell me what you would like to do to prepare for that, if anything, and you can proceed to the dining tent to meet with him.
Greta's gonna get all her stuff together. She's gonna put her coat back on. Her coat is on. She's gonna put her gloves back on. Have her notebook at the ready to take notes on anything medical, and is gonna make sure everyone has a mask that they can put on as well when they want.
Dwight will take the mask, and he also put together his grand, if that's
Latex
possible.
gloves.
Nice.
You know, I don't know how the British soldiers will feel about that. You know, the Union Jacks, as he says, but they're going to have to deal with it.
They did not have latex gloves back then.
They did. Latex gloves were invented in 1889
Boom!
Oh, were they?
at Johns Hopkins Hospital to prevent medical staff from developing dermatitis.
Huh.
Really? I did not see that they were part
So-
of the medical. I stand corrected, Lindy. Thank you for correcting me in a nice manner. Unlike some other people in this show who scream "fuck yous" at me upon occasion.
So yeah,
I
I've
don't
been
do
doing
it to
a lot of
correct you.
research about 19.
You don't deserve that, buddy.
Science
You don't deserve that.
Thanks, bud.
Sometimes he deserves it.
But I am
Just saying.
not able to
I do.
have.
Okay, so
He does.
latex gloves out to everybody.
Yes,
I've
I
learned
got
something
latex
myself.
gloves.
Everybody in chat, thank Lindy if you didn't know that latex gloves were around in 33.
Yep.
See, we're an
1889.
educational show.
I'm waiting for that grant
Just
from the,
like you're
the
like,
National
they could
Endowment of the
monitor
Arts.
brain
Right.
waves in 1933. A correction.
Do not underestimate their research ability. Believe me.
Yeah,
Right.
don't, Greg.
Germans, right.
If we have like a few more minutes, I would really, really like to look at that Bible because she's in a tunnel. Yeah, I want to look at the Bible. Specifically, I want to look at the inscription by Claire Foster.
Okay. That's the one that says, to my big brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically all it says. It says, to my big brother with love, Claire. And it's written in the front. There's a dedication section, a couple lines for a family Bible. When it's passed on to somebody, they have, the older Bibles have lines that are written there that so-and-so bequeathed to so-and-so. Well, this is the first line. It must be a new Bible that was sent. And it says, Claire Foster, and then bequeaths to Paul Foster.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't mean I just wanted to look at it, but thank you.
Okay.
I want to
Rub it.
Yeah, how
That's
did you know?
I see that you already rolled the psychometry, so I'm.
No, I did not. Why do you?
Oh, that's
always think I'm
psychology. Okay, I'm
rolling
sorry.
Before asking you,
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll.
I'm very polite.
Sure you are. Yeah, I mean, yes. Son of a bitch, you people with these extremes. What
She's
in the
on,
hell?
she's on fire today.
They all are.
In
Lord
fuego.
almighty.
In fuego.
Except for when I was trying to hold onto the aircraft. That was a fail catastrophe.
Yeah, but that was, it still made for a good story. This does too. Okay. So what you get from this is not necessarily you see a kind of a glimpse of a younger, maybe 35 to 40, then maybe younger than you expected, vision of what must be Ruby's father, of Paul Foster. And you see him at the pulpit in his church as he's reading from the Bible that you currently have in your possession. Oh, thank you, Lindy. We'll cross the streams. So as you see him there reading from the pulpit, and then in addition to that, you also get flashes of a younger, attractive African-American woman as she is working you see her in New York City at the Caduceus HQ building, the Meadham building, but predominantly you see her in like tropical locales. You see her in treating the sick, digging wells, doing anything that you would kind of believe a mission to a missionary to actually do, teaching English, teaching Bible studies. And I will let you know, because of that extreme role, you also see her in a very familiar village, one that you guys left in Bolivia.
One we didn't free.
One you didn't free, correct.
Oh yeah.
And then it's not as prominent and it's not as vivid as the vision with Ruby was, because this is not something that was treasured or maybe had as much time with these two people as the pocket watch seems to be a treasured item.
Yeah. Did could I kind of intrinsically tell the time, like it was recent that she was there, like when we were there?
You mean Bolivia?
Yeah.
You didn't get anything more than the recognition that it was. You were kind of looked down on the vantage point that you all looked down onto the village when you first saw Dietrich and everyone, right when you met Greta. It was that view, and you saw her walking through the village. No Germans present in your vision, if that was the next question.
I mean, it was just like, was it empty and quiet?
It seemed to be a village.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Okay.
Are you going to share all that with the rest of us?
Of course, I share every single word because yes.
Greta spent some time, probably the most time in that village. Does she recall seeing any African American?
Yeah, I describe her in detail.
You got all that from touching the Bible?
Oh, this is so strange, and he's actually pointing out how weird it is. Yes, I did.
Like the cigarette probably kind of falls from Dwight's mouth, you know.
Yeah, it's not like she tries to make it like a quiet process, and she only like was doing like a finger and gripping it, but it's not. Now it's very awkward. I'm way too comfortable with you people. Yes, is the answer to that question.
Okay, and what I'd like for you to do for me too, Lauren, is roll
What?
2d6 for me as well, since you have done back-to-back readings.
I knew.
And to answer your question, Lindy, you do not remember seeing an African-American woman there. Please subtract 8 from your magic point total, please.
Do I have any more suspicions about Sabella after that, back to back? Knowing she's hiding.
Oh, thank you for the host. We'll cross the streams, exploding dice. I appreciate it, brother. Nice. Welcome into Pulp Cthulhu, everybody. We are in Borneo, and the Olympians that you see before you are currently engaged in a recovery mission looking for a 9-year-old girl named Ruby Foster. That's all you need to know. They're in an English aid camp outside of a quarantine area. Inside the quarantine is the Yellow Death.
And someone's rubbing a Bible on herself.
We think it's a wrestler.
We're pretty sure it's a wrestler, right? Okay, yeah, so no, nobody remembers seeing anybody like that.
Okay.
So.
And I'm even more suspicious of Sabella now. She's got all this information from just touching 2 objects.
All right, y'all. I think it's time for you to make yourselves beautiful before we go sit down with Captain Lancaster.
I mean, I look fine.
Well, Kate tries to find her way behind some boxes or something and change her clothes.
Yeah, because you remember that you guys are some of you are at least wet up to like the knee. 2 of you are wet completely.
Yeah, my gloves have been drying, but
Right.
Dwight lived through the trenches. He's not really, he'll change and dry off, but it doesn't really,
Right, and this
Sure.
is Borneo. I mean, this is not like,
Yeah.
you're, as soon as you kind of, you're
Dwight will not put on a
Hey,
British
thank you very much for
officer
the follow, my
outfit.
friend.
Sabella's
He
gonna
will take the boots, though.
Sabella will wring out her skirt. That's
Okay.
all.
I
That's
take
all.
it you guys get yourselves cleaned up to the best of your abilities. You dry
Greta
off to
probably
the best of
changed
your
her shirt,
abilities.
but that's about it. Her lab coat was dry, and that's the important thing.
Right. Okay, so you guys are able to go over and you are directed by Reginald, who is still an appropriate, respectful British distance away from the tent where he couldn't hear anything. And as you all walk out, Reginald walks over and he goes, can I take you? Time to eat, correct?
I suppose it is, Reginald. Why don't you just lead us up to the mess?
Yeah, right this way, Mom. And he takes you forward, and you guys go into the middle. And it's a typical, Dwight, you feel very at home here. This is a typical military operation. Everything is very regimented. There's marching hither and yon, saluting as higher ranking officers are passed by lower ranking officers and vice versa. As you guys are led towards a kind of a central area, you realize that one of the tents is a little bit different than some of the others in that this tent is a little bit more ornate. It's not necessarily military issue. And when Reginald kind of sweeps back the flap and you're ushered inside, you enter into an interior. Let's see how to best put this. It would be more familiar or more at home in the prior century. It looks like something from the late 1800s, and it looks like you would find this in Africa, on the plains, because this is the tent of a game hunter. This is a safari trophy room. Everywhere you look inside the tent walls, hung on these great wooden framework structures, are the heads of every great cat that maybe any of you can name off your fingers. Panther, lion, You look around and you see wildebeest, you see elks, you see deer of many varieties, all of them positioned, heads everywhere, maybe 10, 20 to a wall as they go from the ceiling to the floor almost. You see taxidermied birds in flight, frozen in a helpless, expression as they kind of lift off from logs or lift off from driftwood if they happen to be coastal birds. You see footstools that are made out of elephant feet. You see large zebra skins lining the floor that are appear to be used just for simple carpeting. Every square inch of this is the domain of a hunter. And standing in the middle of it, not necessarily looking at you, is Captain Philip Lancaster as he marvels and just kind of does like a 180, a slow 360 even, as he turns and looks at all of these great beasts. And regardless of what you think about this, whether you're impressed by his gaming skills or impressed by the sheer exotic nature of these creatures, or impressed by the savagery with which he has killed all of these magnificent beasts, whatever it is, and however you truly feel or however your character feels, that's one thing. But the one thing I can tell you they all do feel is, in one way or another, they are impressed by the Sancta Sanctorum of Captain Philip Lancaster. And as soon as you walk in, he turns and he says, "Whoa, welcome! Welcome, everyone! Come in, let's eat."
Well, good evening, Captain. This is quite impressive. I assume that you've taken all of these yourself.
My officers and me, yes, we have. Every one of them. Champions, in the hunt. Magnificent creatures. I come in here and I marvel and I thank them for the joy that they gave me. Wonderful things, wonderful things.
Greta's just looking around kind of at all the different specimens, especially any of them that she hasn't seen before, and just kind of like noting biology of such creatures, basically. Just like, interesting.
How long have you been here, Captain?
He turns and he says, we have been here, my good man, for 10 days. 10 days tomorrow. 10 days tomorrow.
I'm super uncomfortable. I don't know if you can tell from my face. But Sabella tries to hide it more than Lauren.
Wow.
I don't like it, in case you want to know how I'm feeling, guys.
It's very interesting.
He motions, and you do notice that inside the tent there is a very long, probably could fit 12 people, a very non-military table in the fact that it is plank wood, and usually anything that the military would use would have some type of collapsible nature to it. Not this one. This is an actual, like a banquet plank table. And he motions to the equally unmilitary-like chairs that are sitting there that you realize take up probably an entire truck to themselves if they had to move out of here. Sit.
Am I able to notice Sabella's discomfort?
You can roll a spot hidden. And Greta, if you're looking around at the actual creatures, you can roll me a spot hidden or a biology, depending upon how much you want to know.
A biology. Oh, I failed.
I got a success on the spot hidden, though.
You notice that she's not necessarily she's quiet. Again, it's not a spell. You can't tell she's just not saying anything. So you did notice that she's not saying anything.
Okay. She just tries to catch Sabella's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looking quizzically, like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. No, I'm feeling real good.
It's about this time that plates are being brought in, different pots are being brought into, and the mouth-watering smells of what appear to be some type of local onion, spiced potatoes, or some type of potato-like tuber and steak fillets about 1.5 inches thick are brought in and served with unlisted men, or the British equivalent of, as they come in white jackets, and they lay the plates out in front of all of you, and several bottles of 1928 Cabernet Sauvignon is brought in, which I will not let you roll for because it was a particularly good year, and you guys somebody knows that. And you're, without being asked, there is wine being poured, and Captain Lancaster has some in his hands, and he says, "To successful landings."
Is there are there any other glasses at the table other than the wine?
No. There are I mean, you can ask for something else if you want it.
No. Kate raises her glass, but I'm going to try to just hide the fact that I'm not actually drinking from it.
Okay. Like you can put it in your, you let it touch your lips and then put it down, or not even. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't seem to notice at all.
Greta's doing the same.
Okay.
Yeah, Dwight doesn't drink wine.
Okay, so nobody had any of the wine, is what we're saying. Nobody drank it?
Maybe Isabella had a little.
No, don't you speak for me.
I just saw your face and you were like, wine.
Everybody.
Dwight asked if he could smoke a cigarette in here.
That's more like I'm not subtle, so if I'm just quiet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as soon as Dwight lights up, someone just one of the waiters come in and give you a horn that seems to double as a ashtray, and they kind
Dwight. Oh, okay, yeah, I was going to say if it's a Zippo, Dwight already has one. He already has it lit.
Captain Lancaster, I hate to be forward with you, but I have to say, coming into an island that is under quarantine, I'm a little bit nervous about, well, and Kate turns to Greta. Doctor, in your expert opinion, what is the risk for our team here?
Well, seeing as how I know extraordinarily little about the Yellow Death, I cannot give an accurate risk assessment. I would need to speak to a doctor who has been here.
Well, I believe I can help a little bit. The Yellow Death, and he pulls out some very grainy pictures, but he will provide you with one of them in roll 20.
Oh. Also, I want to check my food for poison.
You want to check it for poison? How are you going to do that?
She's fairly familiar with what a lot of chemicals and stuff smell like. So she's going to kind of look at it to see if anything looks abnormal or smells abnormal. Kind of just basically check the chemistry of the food by smell and maybe slight.
Do you have chemistry?
I do have chemistry. Wait, no, I have pharmacy, which is chemistry.
I'll let you do pharmacy for it.
Okay.
Okay, I will also flash up there for everybody so they can see the picture of the Yellow Death that's on there. You see a trifold, or 3 different pictures of what appears to be a native of Borneo, dressed as a farmer. In the first picture, obviously, the person is identified as being in stage 1. The second picture identifies the same person as being in stage 2. You see that they have been ill to the point where there is blood mixed with the vomit that is off to the side of them. Their entire skin appears to be a different shade, even though the pictures are in black and white. You can tell that there has been some type of shading, and at this point, Captain Lancaster perks up and he says, it becomes hepatitis, like a jaundice, yellow to the eyes. And then on the third one, which is labeled as stage 3, you see that the body, especially the glandular areas and the lymph node regions underneath the armpits, have formed these massive boils and pustules that seem to creep up the entire face, almost as like a form of leprosy or like advanced syphilis, even in a way. And he points, and for the first time, Captain Lancaster seems to be a little serious. He comes off as a bit proper or super British, but he says, He points to the first picture, and he says, 12 hours. He points to the second, and he says, 24. And he points to the third, and he says, 48.
So it is a very rapid disease then.
It is.
What exactly can we make out in stage 1 that looks... Does it look strange at all?
You can ask
Yeah, Greta.
Captain
Yeah,
Lancaster.
Yeah.
So what are the symptoms of stage 1?
Really nothing. They were complaining of sore throat and pressure in the face and behind the ears. And when identified that there was an epidemic, they took a picture of someone and followed them through the pictures that you see. It works very quickly.
I see that. And I'm assuming no one lasts for very long in stage 3 before death.
Hours.
She just writes this down.
Captain, do you know anything about how it's being transmitted?
We believe by a touch. We do not believe it is airborne.
But you are not certain?
Caduceus took their doctors into the woods, and they were not able to send any findings back to us. They took some device in there that they said would help them understand it better. Some massive beast of a machine.
Could you describe this device further?
I'm not very good with Reginald! And the flap comes over, and Reginald, yes, sir. The machine that the Caduceus had. What? Yes, sir. And he turns and he realizes that Greta's the one writing everything down. He goes, Mum, it was it had brass fittings and it had pipes and glass tubing. I've never seen anything quite like it. It dials and switches. It was 2 meters by 2 meters.
Interesting. Did they said did it have any air intake or places for tissue samples or anything on it that you noticed?
I wasn't able to get very close, Mum.
Does this sound anything that Greta may have seen before, or is it completely different and new?
Nothing that you would have heard of or seen.
Okay. Cool.
He, back at the table, Captain Lancaster motions towards the bottles that he has laid out, and he says, I've been living on wine. I don't know if we should be drinking the water. And...
Yeah. Says she's thinking back to the ocean dunk.
He sees, the ocean should be fine. Salt content.
The
and all of that.
salinity. Yeah.
Yes. Salinity. Yes. But yeah, then he raises his glass again and he says,
And it wasn't poisoned, right?
"What?
I succeeded on my pharmacy.
No, not poisoned at all. You don't
Okay.
notice
And then
anything different.
She'll take a big sip of the wine. And...
It's excellent. If you like wine, it's very good."
Kate's looking really, really uncomfortable at all of this conversation about having to subsist on wine.
Caleb, welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, at this point there isn't any bottled water. There's treated water that they use, boiling and things like that. And you're not necessarily sure if the rest of the unit, there's not that much wine. And as Greta would be able to tell you, you can't live on wine all the time because you're going to get stupid dehydrated. But it appears,
especially in the rainforest.
right? It appears that the man before you, Captain Philip Lancaster, is a veteran of many campaigns, whether they be against two-legged foes or four, and he can probably last a little bit longer than most, roughing it with 1924 Bordeaux or something. So he's given it for Queen and Country. He's given it a shot.
Does anyone know when this first broke out, or who was the first noticed victim of it?
We aren't sure exactly when it started, but we were called in 10 days ago. The cordon went up 5 days ago. And the Caduceus people went in directly after we put up the cordon, and I told them we could not let them back in. They would have to stay in there until the disease was either cleared or we had quarantined off all of those that were infected.
Where was he before this? Dwight asked, where were you before this?
I was stationed in the Philippines.
Philippines. That's an American province.
There's a subsection of the British Empire there, good boy. The colonies don't own everything quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're so good at conversation, guys.
Greta's just too into science. She's just like writing everything down.
I will direct you in that you mentioned something about the Germans.
No, it's on the
As
list.
they're speaking to German. She's just like writing in her notebook with one hand and eating the food with the other.
And let Dwight ask if he wanted to.
Oh, crap, I think my mic was off.
Dwight will always defer to Kate and everybody else to ask the questions. But yeah, Germans, have you seen any Krauts around the area, old boy?
Jerry? No. Should I have?
No.
9.
There's one.
9. Wait, yeah. Well, beside the one we have.
I've cracked the case.
Now, you said, Mr. Lancaster, you said it referred to Ruby Foster as an angel. Was she just very nice?
Oh, lovely child. She ate here with me. Her and a
Company, Captain.
Excuse me?
In whose company did she eat with you?
Myself, her father, Paul, I believe, and her mother, Evelyn.
And that was 3 days ago, you said?
Yes.
How long ago was that? All right.
Yeah.
And anything suspicious, Captain?
Well, I mean, they traveled into a cordoned off area. I mean, we warned them, but they were...
Did they say anything about why?
Says his sister. His sister was with Caduceus, and they were there to help.
They were there to assist with the work of Caduceus, then?
I believe so. I think.
Are there other? I'm just curious. Are there other British officers other than are there? I know there's some serving people that have been in and out. Who else is here with us?
My 2 lieutenants. Of course, you've met Reginald, and 250 of her queen's fighting forces. Most of us are working the border of the cordon, though.
Captain, where were you at in the war? Dwight tries to get conversation going to more of a formality. Yeah, so we're not seem what very suspicious.
I was in the muck and mire, boy. Where were you? You catch me as a military man.
I was all over France. I fought in the War of Bellelou Wood. I fought in the Battle of Simone and Verdun.
Tough battles.
He kind of looks at you with a more measured amount of respect at the name of those 3 very difficult conflicts.
Yeah, I was in the 4th Brigade, the Marines.
Yeah, that's news to the rest of us too, I think.
Yeah, Dwight doesn't mention, he doesn't like to talk about the war. He sees it, he wants to kind of get the conversation going. He realizes he's been around British people long enough to know if you keep talking to them and keep drinking with them, they'll start opening up more.
You find that Captain Lancaster is just as uncomfortable in conversation as he is in the silence, which means to say it doesn't look like he cares about either. I will let you know this, though. Okay, and once again, this is not keeper speak. This is me kind of for the future. Who is eating and who is refusing to do so?
Greta's eating.
Isabella don't want to.
Dwight wants to smoke and he'll drink from his flask. He's not really interested in eating.
She checked the food. She thinks it's fine.
Yeah, when Kate notices that Greta's eating, she starts eating too and digs right in.
We're probably really hungry after that plane crash.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as you're eating, what I'll do is I'll tell you this. Here's what he shares with you about things that have occurred here since they've been here. They have
The past 10 days.
Yeah, they have obviously the information that you guys received about the Yellow Death, about it, how initially they thought it was hepatitis, but it was such an accelerated infection rate that they knew that it was something much different. The regional governor told him and his crew, once they got there, to cordon off the area and allow no one to leave. It is also, he's been authorized to use lethal force if necessary to protect the rest of Borneo. He has not had to do that yet, but he has had several farmers that have come through the ridgeline and into the plains that he's guarding, and he's had to send them back to the Caduceus aid station. They've been just basically coming down, obviously infected, asking for help, and he has regrettably had to send them back up into the woods because it's also his orders not to engage with physical contact anybody. In addition to that, what else? The Fosters came through. And it was 2 days ago the Fosters came through. It wasn't 3. I was wrong about that. He has no signs of the Germans that you spoke of. They've not seen any Nazis going through the cordon or anything like that. No reports.
No suspicious characters at all.
Other than the family, the Foster family going in by themselves, nothing out of the ordinary. Nobody else has even gone into the area.
How did the Fosters arrive here?
By plane. By plane. They were brought in by amphibious aircraft, apparently from like Hong Kong, and then brought in by amphibious aircraft, which has since left. He will let you know a couple extra things. One, radio contact with the aid station was lost this morning. They have not had any reports from the aid camp since then. 2, he did have, when you mentioned the Germans, that there was a report from some of his advanced recon scouts that said they saw what appeared to be a whistling noise followed by a green glow 2 nights ago. And they attributed it to a fire that they were probably using to burn the dead, and that's how they wrote that up. In addition to that, he tells you that if your plan is to go into the quarantined area, as soon as you pass by his line, he will not let you back out. He regrets, even if you walk in, put 1 foot on the other side of the line and then want to come right back out, he will not allow it. He stresses that point. Let me see. Is there anything else that he would share with you? That's it.
Can Greta get the radio numbers for both the aid station camp and this camp here?
Absolutely. Reginald will provide those to you. He writes them down and hands them to you, the frequencies.
Okay.
Towards the end of the dinner, Reginald comes back in after the plates have been cleared and everything. And he has a placard with a new trophy on it. And you see that there is a spot towards the head. And as soon as it comes in, Captain Jonathan Lancaster stands up and says, "Oh!" He puffs himself up. "Wonderful, wonderful. Over this way, Reginald. Reginald, come on." And Reginald comes over and he hangs it up on the wall. And you all see the following.
There's pictures.
If you check on...
I don't know. I want to see it.
You see the head of this creature. And I will let everybody else see it. You see the head of this creature mounted, and it looks like a two-trunked elephant in a way.
Okay. It's not quite tapir, more elephant.
Yeah, they're absolutely like tensile. They appear to be, very much like an elephant's trunk. And as soon as it hangs up, he looks at it proudly and he says, "Magnificent." And he looks back at the plates and he says, "And tasty."
Where?
Greta immediately is over there and already like studying it. So, what's this beast look like?
How could
does it move?
how could you possibly have tracked where this beast has been in its life? You think it's just? I mean, where did you find this?
We tracked it down and come down from the mountains. And we hunted it for a day and a night. And we caught it
It
in the
came down
dunes.
from the mountain.
Oh, no, don't worry. We checked it. It is not tainted in any way.
Uh-huh. I mean,
How long do you plan on staying here, Captain?
Kate's up from her chair and outside the tent. And if you want to do a listen check, you'll hear her retching outside the tent.
You run into Reginald. Hello, Mom. He runs over and he produces a bucket at some point and kind of like half spins it at you and then turns away as you are retching.
Thank you, Reginald.
You're welcome, Mom.
I mean, I don't know much about science, but I mean, how could you tell that are you sure that this disease or whatever has the same signs in animal life as it does in people?
Well, we don't believe that it can be carried by animals because there have been no animal deaths reported.
Okay.
How did you know this thing was here?
Because it is here. We believe it may even be an endangered species. Maybe even Darwin himself hasn't seen anything quite like this.
So you killed it? Smile,
Was it-
big smile.
It was a wonderful hunt.
Kate steps back in and she's a little bit pale and grabs one of those fine cloth napkins off the table and sort of dabbing her chin and says, "Captain, I'm sorry. You mentioned that the Fosters arrived by plane. Does that plane come on a regular schedule?"
For supplies, yes. 10 days time.
It'll be back here in 10 days.
Yes, because
What about
10 days?
Go ahead.
10 days.
And what about getting what about boats off the island or off of this beachhead you've got here?
If you're looking for transportation, we can figure something out. We have a radio. We use the wireless and call whoever you need.
We still have the travel radio from the last Bolivia.
Quentin Shapiro.
Yeah.
You do have it because you saved the ugly duckling. Otherwise, you would not have it. At least
Okay.
not dry. Right.
So
Oh,
we
Okay,
have a
so
travel radio, guys.
So, Captain, what's the soonest then that we could have transportation off of this island?
I can put a call in immediately. We can have a British aircraft here in day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. All right. Why don't you put in that call then for me, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
are you planning on being stationed here?
Until such time as we are recalled by the Empire.
Well, what will happen to the quarantine then if you are recalled before the yellow death is over?
Well, I'm hoping that we aren't called before it's over. Our duty is here to keep this isle safe from infected man and dangerous beast. And he turns back and looks at the creature mounted on the wall again, and he stares at it.
Greta has extensive sketches of it already in her book. She's just been like, and she is also gonna kind of hesitate and then. So, we unfortunately, I believe, have at some point business with Caduceus. I was wondering if I would be able to acquire some medical supplies. I noticed there were some already in the tent there. I would require some bleach and extra iodine and other minor materials.
You can take them all for all I care.
Thank
If you are headed there, you can take them.
Danke.
You're welcome.
So at this, it's the retire has been sounded as the plates have been cleared. Captain Philip Lancaster bids you all good evening. Takes a bottle of wine with him as he leaves. The tent is darkened as the lamplight is put out. You guys are directed back to a different tent. It is all of you in a same tent with, enough cots to fit everyone, including Franklin. You guys are able to pass the night, and unless there's something you want to do.
Yeah,
Powwow.
We need to talk.
Powwow.
Powwow. After we make extensively sure that no one is standing outside of this tent.
Greta's also going to start gathering
I'll
some
do a
of the
spot hidden on that.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
materials that she wanted, and also she's going to see if there's any fruit. Maybe fruit that's not native to the island, it'd be imported fruit, but if there is just native fruit to the island, she's going to get some of that and put it into some jugs of water to kind of start a slow fermentation process to make water a little safer to drink.
Okay, I will tell you this. You find some normal fruits, like kiwi, you find some citrus fruits.
Okay.
You also find some very, like, at first you think it's an eggplant, and it turns out to be like almost like a melon. You find a blue star fruit. But instead of having the traditional like 5 points of the star, it has 7. Like it's a very odd, almost like a spiky.
Yeah, I
type of
study
fruit.
those.
Right? Yeah. They seem to be very prevalent in this area. That this very bizarre, very colorful fruit. There's even some that transition colors as you touch them. They go from green to turn.
Are they edible?
They appear to be, yeah. They smell very similar to melon and cantaloupe in that they're not too terribly aromatic, but they have a good taste to them, a good texture, if you elect to do so.
Greta's gonna study the strange fruits and then put the fruits she is familiar with in a couple canteens for everybody, with a couple drops of bleach and iodine in there. Kind of get the water pured and then start to ferment it a little bit with the fruit, make it
Gotcha.
safe.
Gotcha. So what you're basically doing a little frontier medicine here and getting some treated water ready. Is that what? Oh,
Yeah, that's what we if it's edible.
Hold out for a second, but
Hey,
you're
I
still.
rolled.
There we go. Are we back? Okay, I froze there for a second. Are you guys okay?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we're okay now.
I think we're good.
Pretty
Yeah.
extreme on the spot hidden, Greg.
Yeah,
I'll take
you
that we're
don't
doing it.
you don't see anything out there, Dwight.
As everyone is sort of gathering back for the evening, Kate says, "Well, friends, I think we need to make some decisions about how we're going to move forward. Frankly, I don't have a whole lot of hope here. If some of them ride pods arrived 2 days ago, right into the middle of that quarantine zone, then I suspect one of two things has happened. Either they've come and they've got Ruby and they've left with her, or they've come and they've died in the middle of that quarantine. Either way,
He did not. He only said that they noticed one sighting. That means they most likely have not left yet.
or they miss seeing him leave.
But they according to Elijah's source, they left the day before we left, but the rod pod only showed up 2 nights ago. I mean, that strikes me as funny.
The ride pods are very quick.
That's right.
Right, but it took us. I'm just thinking, why would they fly out normal days before, and then this only took 2, the 19th and 17th?
That's a very good question.
Maybe the other
Unless-
plane was not headed to Borneo, or it has landed at the airport 100 miles south.
Yes, maybe.
We could try to radio the airport
But
to see if any planes have come lately.
Sure. I don't think they have. I don't think they have Ruby because she's not at the camp.
Does Sawyer still seem? What's he doing? What's Sawyer doing?
For sake of the narrative, he's just very quiet.
Well, you make a good point, Miss Ives. Perhaps they don't have her, but I'm not sure how we can go in and get her. And even if we could, and survive the trip, these British folks that are enforcing the quarantine would shoot us on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
We would have to either not come back through this way, leave through the airport, or hope the British leave.
Well, Doctor, you know how the British are when they get someplace. They don't like to leave.
No. Nine. They do.
Perfect. Yes. Exactly.
They are quite.
They're not leaving.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that if this border, the quarantine zone, is being guarded this closely, that the other one to get out to the airport would be guarded equally closely.
Mm-hmm.
I am open to your ideas and suggestions, but it seems to me as though we may have lost this one.
No, we can't. We can't have. No, absolutely not. They cannot get her. It would be very, very bad. I don't know if I explained the full extent of what I saw her do, but I don't think they have her yet, because she was waving at me.
Is there any way that Greta can assess if it's airborne